Like sometimes what we're doing is really hard. If they just want an eye in the sky shot and a high wide, or flying off into the sunset thing, you can do that with your eyes closed. But some of the stuff we're getting into now with FPV in particular, and interacting with stunts and flying down the side of a building and then converging with a car, trying to get the timing right on that, like it's hard stuff. And layered into that, your machines are, purpose-built machines for this stuff. And then you've got the environment. Maybe it's raining a little bit. We can't fly the drone in the rain, or there's too much wind, or it's gusty, or...
But we're only at the beginning of this technology.
True.
True. I mean, we're going to be able to fly through rain
and we already can
dive underwater and do some crazy things.
Yeah, I mean, we had a shoot at Niagara Falls last year for 40 Creek, and literally the director from LA, he wanted us like 5 feet in front of the fall, like 5 feet away from the falls, just looking at the water for a long time. Like we were right there. And I did some of it FPV. So you're in the goggles and you're right there. And
that must be
so
wild.
Intense. And and you get the drone back, and it's just like, we had a rain spinner on there to keep we used the Ukraine guy's rain spinner.
Yeah.
And the camera package was just wrapped up in like it was plastic wrapped
on the
up
drone.
Top. Yeah, had to be, because we were soaked. By the time we got this thing back, it was just poof. There's some pictures on that package I sent you of that.
Okay. I mean, there must be that makes me think that there's got to be drone casualties every day going into volcanoes or into deep depths of something.
Drones crash all the time.
Yeah,
anybody who's a drone pilot and they tell you they haven't crashed, they're either lying or they haven't been doing it for more than a week.
But do they send in like, lack of a better term, but like suicide drones?
Yeah.
Do they, into projects? I would imagine something like the BBC sending a drone into an unknown area or unknown territory.
No, they totally do that. We haven't had any of that, but they do it in film too, where they literally like crash cam drones now, like head-on converging shots with drones, either with Inspires or with now like Komodos are cheap enough. They're $10,000, so it's a Komodo's a camera that they're willing.
Isn't that funny? A $10,000 camera, $20,000 drone, and it's expendable. Let's just crash this booger.
Yeah,
if the shot's good enough, it's worth it. I guess. I mean, it's sad.
I know. For us at home, we're just,
yeah. No, that's so interesting.
So can you can't fly your drone in the rain?
You can, different ones. I mean, every drone sort of has it's like humans. You have your strengths and weaknesses.
Okay.
So yeah, some of our machines, the FPV stuff is particularly vulnerable to rain and the environmental conditions because it's more exposed. It's more like there's more electronics that are close to the surface. Although if we needed to fly in the rain, we could waterproof that to a certain extent. You can actually coat the circuit boards with stuff to keep them from short circuiting when water gets on them. But I mean, everything's somewhat vulnerable. Some of the bigger machines now are IP rated, so they're IP rated for the rain. That Alta X that we flew in Niagara Falls, it's not IP rated, but it's very environmentally protected. And I mean, I certainly wouldn't fly a drone in the rain if it was around cast and crew. Niagara Falls, we were out over Niagara Falls. The only thing we were risking with that shot was the drone itself.
The drone.
And the production team knew that was part of the risk, being that wet. Everybody had signed off on this is a very risky thing to do with the machine, especially because he wanted us out there for basically half the day, trying to get these shots. Although it was a very fun commercial. You've seen it. I'll send you the link to it. This guy ends up rowing his rowboat up Niagara Falls. It's an awesome commercial.
Oh, true.
Cool, man.
It's hard to do.
It must be something else to be sort of looking right at the falls like that.
It is. I don't know if you're into the airy-fairy side of it. Like water has energy. Like if I'm around rushing water all day, I find it affects me. If I'm in a place like Niagara Falls, like I think maybe because I'm a drone pilot, we've been flying Niagara Falls for a lot of years now. I think we've sort of specialized in it because we live relatively close to there. We figured out it's a hard place to fly legally. We figured out how to do it. So a lot of times people come to us. Like last year we did Man Called Otto down in Niagara Falls. We did the 40 Creek job there. We've become sort of the de facto drone team down there.
Cool.
But I find whenever I go there, maybe it's because I fly there or maybe it's just because of all that water, I find it's intense. And especially after
Wow,
I've been out
really?
flying over the water all day, like it's a natural wonder. It's a beautiful spot, and it's a shitload of water that's flowing over this thing. And if we're down in it, like it's intense because you've got
So you sort of
$40,000 on the end of a string out over the falls for one thing. But I find I feel it. I think there's energy comes from things. There's that much energy flowing over that thing, and I think the drone feels it too. Like it's, I don't know. It sounds airy fairy, but we're all affected by stuff, and we're all affected in ways that we don't necessarily know, and science hasn't even really proven. But things get affected by other things, and I mean, you've got to be very, very careful when you start. These are part of the environmental conditions that build up, whether it's even just stress of the pilot trying to send that drone out there. Like I remember that 40 Creek ad, they were just like, go again, go again, go again. After a while, I was like, you know what? We got one more. I've got one more of these, and then we're not doing it again. And the drone was soaking wet, and we've been flying for 6 hours, like right out over the falls with, $100,000 worth of cameras. And I was just like, nope, we're doing it one more time, and that's it. And then he's like, yeah, okay, I respect that. That's fine. Just we got to get this. I'm like, okay. We went out, got it, landed. He's like, awesome, we got it. And I just felt like I didn't want to do it anymore.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe if I would have done it one more time, who knows? I mean, who knows? Probably
And
would have
that's
been
just
fine,
because
but-
somehow your brain perceives your eyes coming out of your head and moving out toward the falls, or
Yeah, you become
something like that.
the drone. The drone becomes a part of you. It becomes this an
Yeah.
appendage in a way. I mean, you know what it's like. You
It's
guys do stunts.
exhausting.
Yeah.
When you're driving a car, when you're doing the crazy stuff that you do. Nobody can do that the way you do. You know how. I mean, you could feel if the air pressure was 3 psi low in the left front tire, or you're gonna feel that. The same thing with the drone. I'm gonna feel if that motor's lagging a little bit. I'm gonna feel. It sounds crazy, but you
No,
just
that
get
makes
to
so
you
much
get
Yeah, but it's an
tuned
extension
into
of you,
it. Totally.
and then you get exhausted. Your
Yeah.
concentration level
Yeah.
begins to lessen.
Yeah.
No, that makes so much sense, and that is
machine-
really crazy.
Yeah, it's like telepathic with machines.